Ibrahim Traoré sat at his desk in the presidential palace in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. His morning had been filled with meetings about security concerns and economic plans. As the young military leader who had risen to power through a coup, his days were always busy. Captain Traoré, his assistant said, entering the office with a small package. "This just arrived for you. It passed security checks, but it's unusual." Ibrahim looked up from his paperwork. "What's unusual about it?" "It's from North Korea, sir. From Pyongyang specifically." Ibrahim's eyebrows raised in surprise. Burkina Faso had no significant diplomatic ties with North Korea. He took the package, examining the foreign stamps and official seals. His name was written in both French and Korean characters. "Thank you," he said, dismissing his assistant. Once alone, Ibrahim carefully opened the package. Inside was a sealed envelope with the official emblem of North Korea. His heart raced as he broke the seal. The letter was written in perfect French, with a small note indicating it had been personally translated under the supervision of Kim Jong Un himself. Ibrahim began reading, "To Captain Ibrahim Traoré, leader of Burkina Faso, I extend my personal greetings from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Though our nations have had limited contact, recent developments have compelled me to reach out directly to you. I believe we share more common interests than you might expect. What I am about to share must remain between us." The information contained in this letter could change the course of African politics and your position within it forever. First, let me congratulate you on your successful rise to power. Taking control requires courage and vision, qualities I recognized in you from the moment international news reported your leadership. I propose a partnership that would benefit both our nations in ways Western powers would never allow if discussed openly. My country possesses technologies and resources that could transform Burkina Faso's military and economic standing in West Africa overnight. But there is a more urgent matter I must bring to your attention. Our intelligence has uncovered a plot against your leadership, orchestrated by foreign powers who see your independence as a threat to their control over Africa's resources. If you wish to know more, a secure communication device is enclosed with this letter. It cannot be tracked or monitored by Western surveillance. Use it to contact the number provided, and we will arrange further discussion. The choice is yours, Captain Traoré. But remember, in today's world, a leader without powerful allies stands alone against many enemies. With respect and solidarity, Kim Jong Un, Supreme Leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea." Ibrahim set the letter down, his hands slightly trembling. He reached back into the package and found a small black device, similar to a mobile phone but unlike any he had seen before. His mind raced with questions. Why would Kim Jong Un contact him? What technologies was he offering? And most concerning, what plot against him had North Korean intelligence uncovered? The captain glanced at his regular phone, wondering if he should inform his security advisors. But something stopped him. If foreign powers were indeed plotting against him, who could he truly trust? His recent rise to power meant loyalty was still being tested among those around him. Ibrahim slipped the letter and device into his pocket. He needed time to think before making any decisions. One thing was certain: this unexpected communication from one of the world's most isolated leaders could not be ignored. As he walked to his next meeting, the weight of the device in his pocket felt much heavier than its actual size. Whatever Kim Jong Un wanted, it would surely come with strings attached, strings that might either strengthen his position or hang him with international consequences. That night, Ibrahim couldn't sleep. The letter from Kim Jong Un played over and over in his mind. He sat on the edge of his bed, the mysterious communication device in his hand, turning it over repeatedly as he weighed his options. As a military man who had taken control of Burkina Faso, promising freedom from foreign influence. The irony wasn't lost on him. Here he was, contemplating secret communications with North Korea, hardly the independence he had promised his people. Yet the mention of a plot against him couldn't be ignored. Burkina Faso had seen enough coups to know how quickly power could shift. If Kim Jong Un truly had intelligence about threats to his leadership, could he afford to dismiss it? Ibrahim switched on the device. Unlike normal phones, it had only basic features, no internet, no apps, just a simple communication system. There was only one contact preloaded. His thumb hovered over the call button. This could be a trap, he whispered to himself. Western intelligence agencies might be monitoring for exactly this kind of contact. Or perhaps the North Koreans themselves were setting him up for something bigger. He thought about his options. If he told his advisors, the information would spread. Some might be part of the very plot Kim mentioned. If he contacted Western allies about the letter, they would immediately pressure him to cut off any potential relationship with North Korea, and might even use this as an excuse to increase their influence over his government. Ibrahim paced the room, the device still in hand. His country needed allies and resources. Burkina Faso was struggling with extremist violence, poverty, and the lingering effects of colonial exploitation. Traditional allies had offered aid with heavy conditions that often seemed to benefit them more than his people. What if this is the alternative path? He wondered aloud. Making his decision, Ibrahim pressed the call button. The device connected almost immediately, far faster than he expected for an international call. Captain Traoré, a voice answered in French with a heavy accent. We've been expecting your call. I am Minister Park, personal representative of our supreme leader. How do I know this is genuine? Ibrahim asked, keeping his voice steady. A fair question. The supreme leader anticipated your concern. Turn to page 3 of the document we provided. There you will find information about a meeting you had 2 weeks ago with 3 military commanders. No one else was present. The details of what was discussed have not been shared with anyone. Ibrahim quickly found the page and was shocked to discover accurate details of a private meeting he had held in the most secure room of the presidential palace. The meeting had indeed been attended by only 4 people, and the topics discussed were extremely sensitive. How did you get this information? Ibrahim demanded, his heart racing. That is precisely why the supreme leader reached out to you, Captain. Your palace has been compromised. Western intelligence agencies have the same information we do, but they have not shared it with you. Ask yourself why. Ibrahim's mind reeled. If North Korea could access this information, who else could? And if Western allies knew but hadn't told him, what did that mean? What exactly does your leader want from me? Ibrahim asked, his voice lower now. Not from you, Captain. For you. The Supreme Leader offers technology to secure your communications, training for a personal security force loyal only to you, and information about those plotting against you, both inside and outside your country, and in return, a diplomatic relationship that acknowledges our mutual interests, access to certain mineral resources your country possesses, and a strategic ally in West Africa, who understands the importance of true independence from Western control. Minister Park paused before continuing. The Supreme Leader requests a face-to-face meeting with you, not in North Korea or Burkina Faso, but in a neutral location where you can both speak freely. Ibrahim's grip tightened on the device. I need time to consider this, of course, but not too much time, Captain. According to our intelligence, those who wish to remove you are already preparing. We will contact you again tomorrow night. By then we hope you will have made your decision. The call ended, leaving Ibrahim standing alone in his bedroom, the weight of the choice before him feeling heavier than ever. Meeting with Kim Jong Un would cross a line that couldn't be uncrossed.
Not meeting might leave him vulnerable to threats he couldn't see coming. He hid the device in a secret compartment in his desk and returned to bed, though sleep remained elusive. Tomorrow would require careful moves in a game he hadn't realized he was playing. Morning arrived with no relief from Ibrahim's troubled thoughts. As he prepared for the day's duties, he found himself studying the faces of his staff more carefully than usual. Who among them might be reporting to foreign powers? Which of his trusted advisors might be plotting against him? His first meeting was with Faso Compadio, his chief of security, and a man he had trusted with his life during the coup. "You look tired, Captain," Faso remarked as they reviewed the day's security protocols. "Is something troubling you?" Ibrahim hesitated. If there was anyone he could trust, it was Faso, who had stood by him through the most dangerous moments of the takeover. Yet the North Korean letter had planted seeds of doubt that were quickly taking root. "Just the usual concerns," Ibrahim replied vaguely. "Tell me, have our counterintelligence operations discovered anything unusual lately? Any foreign interest in our activities?" Faso raised an eyebrow. "Nothing out of the ordinary. The French continue their surveillance, as do the Americans. China has increased diplomatic outreach, but that's happening across Africa." He paused. "Why do you ask? Has something specific caught your attention?" Ibrahim waved the question away. "Just being cautious. We can't be too careful." Throughout the day, Ibrahim found ways to test his inner circle. He deliberately mentioned false information about a potential resource deal to different advisors, slightly altered each time, to see what might leak and to whom. He watched reactions closely when he suggested a shift in foreign policy positions. By afternoon, Ibrahim had one more person to see. His old friend and mentor, General Mamadou Bamba. Unlike the others, Mamadou had no official position in the government. He had retired years ago, but remained respected and influential. More importantly, he had no obvious connections to foreign powers. They met at Mamadou's modest home on the outskirts of Agulwa. Away from the palace, Ibrahim felt he could speak more freely. "Something's weighing on you, son," Mamadou said as they sat in his garden, drinking traditional tea. The old general had always been perceptive. "I can see it in your eyes." Ibrahim took a deep breath and made a calculated decision. He would reveal part of the truth. "I've received information suggesting there may be a plot against me. Foreign-backed, but internal support." Mamadou's face remained impassive. "From what source?" "I can't reveal that yet," Ibrahim replied, "but it's credible enough to concern me." The old general set down his tea. "In my experience, those who warn you of plots often have their own plots in mind." He leaned forward. "Tell me, does this information come from the East? Perhaps from countries seeking to expand their influence here?" Ibrahim fought to keep his expression neutral. How could Mamadou have guessed expression neutral? How could Mamadou have guessed the North Korean connection? Was it just the old man's experience or something more sinister? "As I said, I can't reveal the source," Ibrahim replied carefully, "but I value your advice. If such information were true, how true is your report?" Mamadou's eyes narrowed slightly. "Trust no one completely, not even those who bring you warnings of danger. And remember that in Africa we have always been pieces on other nations' chess. The question is not whether foreign powers wish to control you. They all do. The question is what price they're willing to pay, and what price they're willing to pay, and what demand they will return." As dusk approached, Ibrahim took his leave, promising to visit again soon. Mamadou's words followed him back to the palace. The old general was right. Everyone had an agenda. Everyone had a floor. Tonight we do it culture. We will meeting with Kim Jong Un through the house. Meeting with not meeting my given dollar to have a party with who back to work. And you have all to live. He would give us the party all for that. I need you to prepare a sealed document. Began writing. Now he was ready to give his answer to North Korea's invitation.
Kim Jong Un had suggested several options, all neutral territories where both leaders could arrive without attracting undue attention. Dubai had been Ibrahim's choice, a global crossroads where diplomats and business people from all nations mingled freely. His official reason for visiting was to meet with investment groups interested in Burkina Faso's gold mining industry. A plausible cover that few would question. Only two people knew his true purpose: his head of personal security, who sat across from him on the plane, and Francois, who had been instructed to take control if Ibrahim failed to return. The sealed document remained with Francois, to be opened only in emergency. "We begin descent in 10 minutes, Captain," the pilot announced over the intercom. Ibrahim nodded, his mind racing through scenarios. Since agreeing to this meeting, he had slept poorly, questioning his decision repeatedly. But the additional information Minister Park had provided had been too specific to ignore. Names of military officers reportedly meeting with French intelligence, details of bank transfers to accounts linked to former government officials, and most concerning, surveillance photos of Western diplomats meeting secretly with opposition leaders. The aircraft touched down smoothly at Al Maktoum International Airport, where privacy for VIP arrivals was guaranteed. As arranged, a convoy of black SUVs with tinted windows awaited them on the tarmac. "Remember," Ibrahim told his security chief, "if I don't contact you by the agreed time, implement Protocol 3. Protocol 3 meant contacting specific allies and releasing portions of the sealed document, enough to explain his actions without revealing everything. The security chief nodded grimly. He clearly disapproved of this meeting but had followed orders without question. Ibrahim entered the middle vehicle alone. Inside, a middle-aged Asian man in an immaculate suit greeted him. "Captain Traoré, I am Minister Park. We spoke on the secure line. Thank you for coming. The Supreme Leader appreciates your courage." Ibrahim studied the man carefully. "Where are we meeting?" "A private residence in the Palm Jumeirah. The property is registered to a Chinese investment company, but is actually a North Korean diplomatic asset. It's secure and monitored against surveillance." The drive took 30 minutes, passing through Dubai's gleaming skyscrapers before reaching the artificial palm-shaped island. They pulled into an underground garage beneath an impressive villa overlooking the Arabian Gulf. Minister Park led Ibrahim through a security checkpoint where he was politely but thoroughly scanned for recording devices. Satisfied, the security team opened a door to an elevator that carried them to the top floor. The doors opened to reveal a spacious room with panoramic windows, showcasing Dubai's spectacular coastline. And there, standing by the window, was the unmistakable figure of Kim Jong Un. Kim turned and smiled, extending his hand. "Captain Traoré, welcome. It's an honor to meet a true African revolutionary." Ibrahim shook the offered hand, noting the firm grip. Kim Jong Un was shorter than he appeared in media footage, but his presence was undeniably commanding. "Supreme Leader Kim," Ibrahim acknowledged. "I appreciate the invitation, though I must say your letter came as quite a surprise." Kim gestured to a seating area where tea had been prepared. "Please, let's sit. We have much to discuss and limited time." As they settled into their chairs, Kim dismissed the attendants with a wave, leaving only Minister Park and one other aide in the room. "I'll speak directly," Kim said, switching to surprisingly good French. "Your rise to power caught the attention of many nations. Western countries publicly criticize military takeovers while privately seeking ways to control new leaders. China offers infrastructure projects with hidden costs. Russia provides weapons and military support in exchange for resource rights." Ibrahim nodded cautiously. "And North Korea? What does your country seek?" Kim smiled. "Something different. We offer partnership without the pretense of moral superiority that Western nations hide behind. We don't have their resources, but we have something more valuable: independence despite decades of attempts to crush us." Minister Park placed a folder on the table between them. "This contains proof of what we mentioned in our communications. Western intelligence services have identified you as unstable and unpredictable. They're already cultivating alternatives within your military." Ibrahim opened the folder, finding photographs, transcripts, and intelligence reports. Names he recognized, including two of his closest military allies, appeared in documents detailing meetings with Western officials. "How did you obtain this?" Ibrahim asked, his mouth suddenly dry. "We have our methods," Kim replied simply. "More importantly, we have no interest in controlling Burkina Faso. Our geopolitical concerns lie elsewhere, but we do seek friends who understand what it means to resist Western hegemony." Ibrahim closed the folder. "What exactly are you proposing?" Kim leaned forward. "Technology transfer, communication systems that cannot be monitored by Western intelligence. Military training for a core unit answerable only to you. And most importantly, continued intelligence sharing about those who would undermine your leadership. Diplomatic recognition of North Korea. Access to certain rare minerals your country possesses, paid for at fair market value, not stolen through exploitative contracts. And occasionally your support in international forums when issues important to us arise." Ibrahim considered carefully before responding. "Your offer is generous, but you must understand my caution. My country has suffered from foreign intervention disguised as assistance for generations." Kim nodded. "Which is precisely why I reached out to you personally. We've both seen how the great powers operate. They offer friendship with one hand while preparing your replacement with the other." He gestured to the folder. "The evidence is there. Your time may be shorter than you realize." As the sun began to set over Dubai, casting the room in golden light, Ibrahim realized he faced the most consequential decision of his leadership. The alliance Kim proposed would give him tools to secure his position, but at what cost to Burkina Faso's future? Back in his hotel suite, Ibrahim spread the contents of the folder across the bed. The depth of information was staggering: surveillance photos, intercepted communications, bank statements, and detailed profiles of key figures in his government, including their vulnerabilities and foreign contacts. Most troubling were the documents concerning Colonel Jean-Baptiste Zongrana, his childhood friend, and now head of military operations.
According to the North Korean intelligence, Jean-Baptiste had met 3 times with French officials in neighboring Côte d'Ivoire. Transcripts suggested he was being positioned as a stabilizing alternative should Ibrahim's leadership become untenable for regional security. Ibrahim's hands trembled slightly as he read the transcript of Jean-Baptiste supposedly discussing him. Traoré is becoming unpredictable. His anti-Western rhetoric is increasing, and he's blocking mining contracts that could bring much-needed revenue. The officers are growing concerned. If things continue this way, a correction may be necessary. Could this be true? Jean-Baptiste had stood with him through everything. They had trained together, fought together. Was this North Korean manipulation, or had his closest ally already turned against him? Ibrahim picked up the secure phone and called Minister Park. "I need verification," Ibrahim said when Park answered. "These documents about Colonel Zongrana, how can I trust their authenticity?" "We anticipated your concern," Park replied calmly. "Check the 3rd document in the secondary folder. It contains information about the Colonel's next meeting, tomorrow night, 9 p.m., at the Sofitel Hotel in Abidjan. He's registered under the name Pierre Sardogo. The French contact will be in room 712. If you have resources in Côte d'Ivoire, you can verify this yourself." Ibrahim did have resources there, a small intelligence unit that operated independently, reporting directly to him. Few knew of their existence, not even Jean-Baptiste. "If this proves false, our discussions end immediately," Ibrahim warned. "We understand," Park replied. "The Supreme Leader values trust. Verify everything we've provided." After ending the call, Ibrahim contacted the head of his secret unit in Abidjan, giving instructions to monitor the Sofitel Hotel the following evening. He provided Jean-Baptiste's description and the room number but not his name. Better to see if his agent recognized the colonel independently. Sleep eluded Ibrahim that night. He reviewed more documents, finding patterns that disturbed him deeply. Western powers appeared to be hedging their bets, maintaining public relations with his government, while secretly cultivating alternatives. The French, in particular, seemed determined to maintain influence over Burkina Faso's resources, especially the gold mines and newly discovered rare earth deposits. Morning came, and with it, Ibrahim's scheduled meetings with legitimate Dubai investors. He went through the motions professionally, but his mind remained fixed on the coming evening, and what his agent might discover at the Sofitel. At precisely 10:15 p.m., his secure phone vibrated. The message contained only a photo, a slightly blurry image taken from across a hotel hallway, showing Jean-Baptiste shaking hands with a white man outside room 712. The timestamp showed 9:07 p.m. Ibrahim stared at the image until his eyes burned. There could be innocent explanations, he told himself. Perhaps Jean-Baptiste was on official business he hadn't mentioned. Perhaps this was a different meeting entirely, and the North Koreans had manipulated the situation. But deep down, Ibrahim knew the pieces fit too well. Jean-Baptiste had requested permission to travel to Côte d'Ivoire 3 days ago, citing family reasons. Ibrahim had granted it without question. They were like brothers after all. Another message came through. They spent 47 minutes together in the room. Colonel left with a small package. Following now. Ibrahim paced his hotel suite, waiting for further updates. An hour later the final report arrived. Package contained USB drive and documents. Colonel returned to safe house in Kokadi district, meeting another Burkinabe national there, identified as Major Filippo Ouedraogo. The name hit Ibrahim like a physical blow. Major Ouedraogo was Jean-Baptiste's deputy, and Ibrahim's cousin by marriage. If both were involved, the circle of conspiracy was widening. Ibrahim sat heavily on the edge of his bed. Kim Jong Un's warning echoed in his mind. Your time may be shorter than you realize. He picked up the secure phone again and dialed Minister Park. Your information was correct. Ibrahim said quietly. I need to meet with the supreme leader again before I return to Burkina Faso. He anticipated this, Park replied. He can see you tomorrow morning, same location. Ibrahim ended the call and stared out at Dubai's glittering skyline. The city's artificial brilliance seemed fitting now. The city's artificial brilliance seemed fitting now. A shining facade, hiding darker realities beneath. Just like the loyalty he'd counted on. Tomorrow, he would accept Kim Jong Un's offer, not because he trusted North Korea, but because he now trusted his own people even less. The morning sun cast long shadows across the meeting room, as Ibrahim sat across from Kim Jong Un. Once Ibrahim sat across from Kim Jong Un once more. Neither man spoke immediately, each studying the other with new understanding. Your intelligence was accurate, Ibrahim finally said, breaking the silence. My colonel met with a French contact exactly as your documents predicted. Kim nodded, his expression somber rather than triumphant. I take no pleasure in being right about such matters, Captain. Betrayal by those closest to us is a particular pain. I understand well. Ibrahim believed him. Whatever else Kim Jong Un might be, he had indeed faced similar challenges. Internal threats, external pressures, assailant. I am prepared to discuss your proposal in more detail, but I must understand exactly what this partnership would mean for my country. Kim smiled slightly, a wise approach. Let me be specific. He gestured, Minister Park. Who wrote his step? He gestured Minister Park, who wrote the slate. First, communication security. Kim explained, as images appeared on screen. These systems use encryption techniques unknown to Western intelligence. They would secure your military commands to the communication. The
presentation continued, showing training programs for security personnel, surveillance countermeasures, and intelligence gathering techniques. Kim emphasized repeatedly that North Korean advisors would work in the background, never publicly visible. We understand the importance of appearance, Kim said. Your Western relationships must seem unchanged while we strengthen your position. Ibrahim listened intently, asking detailed questions about each component of the proposed partnership. The technology was impressive, clearly decades ahead of what Burkina Faso currently possessed. The training programs were comprehensive. The intelligence sharing would give him eyes and ears he desperately needed. But there was still the matter of what North Korea wanted in return. You mentioned diplomatic recognition and access to minerals, Ibrahim said. I need specifics. Kim nodded to Minister Park, who produced another document. We request formal diplomatic relations, including an embassy in Ouagadougou. Small, discreet, but official. Second, mining rights for these specific rare earth elements. The document listed 5 minerals with proposed quantities and payment terms. Ibrahim studied the figures. The prices offered were actually slightly above market rate. Surprising, but perhaps intended to demonstrate good faith. The quantities were modest, not the exploitative arrangements Western companies typically demanded. And the international support you mentioned, Ibrahim pressed. Occasionally we face votes in the UN or other international bodies. When these arise, we would ask Burkina Faso to vote in support of our positions or abstain from votes against us. Nothing that would draw undue attention to your country. Ibrahim considered the complete package. It seemed reasonable on the surface, but he was under no illusions. This was a devil's bargain. Protection and security in exchange for aligning with one of the world's most isolated regimes.